What's Wrong With is a series of videos where I break down the negatives in a series I have watched and follow up with everything positive about the series. What's Wrong With is completely opinionated, and if you don't agree with my opinion, feel free to argue in the comment section below. Also, this video will contain massive spoilers, so if you want to know how I'd recommend it, skip to the final verdict session at the end. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. What's Wrong With Dragon Ball Z? Arguably one of the most popular animes, at least in the US, and it definitely has some faults, so we'll get right into that. Screaming equals more power. This is an obvious flaw with Dragon Ball Z. There's some episodes that a majority of them is just screaming and trying to get to Super Saiyan and just loading more power and stuff like that. And I will admit, sometimes it can be a little empowering, I'm not gonna lie. And this is kind of an anime trope, so I can't fault it too much. But moving on, very repetitive storyline. Goku fights a lesser villain, the main villain, one of his lackeys usually. And then he fights another villain, they square off, and they have to get more powerful to fight this new villain, and the villain powers up, and then one of the heroes has to power up, so on and so forth. Again, very repetitive storyline, but a lot of animes do follow the storyline, and the three arcs do diverge a little bit, and I'll touch on that later. But an infinite amount of power. Now this is actually one of my flaws with the show because it's going to be never ending, and I guess some people could see that as a plus, but I mean, from the very beginning when Vegeta goes, his power level's over 9,000, they just keep finding new ways. Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, 4, they could keep going infinite if they wanted to, but they made Super Saiyan God mode, Super Saiyan God 2, I think. They're just going crazy with it, and I wish there was some point where it would just cap off, but at the same time you couldn't introduce new villains and have them, try and stop these heroes if they couldn't power up. So I understand that. The concept of death is irrelevant. There's plenty of times where characters who, if they died, I'd be like, wow, that's an impactful death, what's going to happen? For example, Krillin's died like 4 times, and they just keep bringing him back with the Dragon Balls. And it got to the point, like I know Goku's first death, everyone was like, oh, can they get the Dragon Balls in time? Will Nappa and Vegeta show up and kill the whole planet? And that was kind of, what's going to happen? But now they get the Dragon Balls so easily that they can bring anybody back so quickly. I mean, Yamcha's died multiple times just like Krillin. Vegeta's death was so amazing, but again, he could be brought back with the Dragon Balls. And Piccolo's death was also pretty nice as well. So, this is a fault that it isn't Dragon Ball Z's fault. It's the fault of fans making it so overpopular. When I was growing up, there was tons of video games my friends would play, backpacks all the kids would wear. I mean, it was just a popular thing, even in the US. Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F even got a premiere in multiple theaters, even in my town, who doesn't show any anime movies. So, I mean, again, it's not its fault, but it's a massive flaw because should it be this overpopular? Again, you could talk to so many other guys and mention all these great animes and they wouldn't even budge, but as soon as you mention Dragon Ball Z, they'd be like, oh yeah, Piccolo's my favorite, Vegeta's so cool, oh, the Kamehameha, stuff like that. It's like, why would you like this anime but not any of the others? You should broaden your horizons and stuff like that. But what's good? As I mentioned before, there's a bit of overpopularity, but I'm actually okay with this. And the only reason I'm okay with this is because it actually brings people into the anime community. So say you watch Dragon Ball Z, and then a friend says, oh, if you like Dragon Ball Z, maybe you'll like this show or this show. And then they get just thrown into this community and they get exposed to more and more shows. So as long as it's like a gateway anime, I completely understand that. And that's really cool that it's done that to so many fans. Also, Vegeta is the perfect anti-hero. He's done so well from start to finish. The Majin Buu arc, you get to see him, turn evil again, and it's amazing. But he still sacrifices himself. And at the end of the Buu arc, he has to just distract Buu for Goku, and that's so. I know that can be so humiliating to him, but he deals with it, and he's changed in character. I don't know. I love Vegeta. He's probably one of my favorite characters. Great moments. Goku and Gohan doing the Kamehameha together. Trunks showing up for the first time. Goku going Super Saiyan. Goku going Super Saiyan 3. The first time Majin Buu shows up. There's plenty of great moments. Tons of great moments. And they're just very empowering, even if you know, they're screaming sometimes or stuff like that. It's still incredible. Great movies. Dragon Ball Z does have the luxury of being an anime that's allowed to make multiple movies, and a lot of them are pretty good. I really loved Dragon Ball Wrath of the Dragon, Dragon Ball Z Fusion Reborn, and I especially love Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, so definitely check out all of those if you get a chance. The Buu Saga is incredible, and as I mentioned earlier, how there's repetitive storylines, and I think the Cell Saga is very similar to the Frieza Saga, whereas you have these two villains, which were Vegeta in the first movie, and they turn good because there's a greater evil and stuff like that, and they have to fight all these other people. Just repetitive storyline where the characters power up. I think the Buu Saga is very different because we get to see Goku training, Gohan, you know, living life in high school. We get to see Gotenks, which is awesome. There's a lot more for these characters. I mean, Majin Buu is probably my favorite character in the whole Dragon Ball Z arc, and we get to see Hercule, you know, the guy who took down Cell, you know, took all the credit for that, and that they made fun of, but he's the most human to be kind to this creature that's so powerful and that's so amazing, and we get to see Vegeta again humiliate himself. It's just such a great saga, and everyone should definitely at least check out this one. As final verdict, again, Dragon Ball Z is a massive adventure. It's fun to see these characters change from start to finish, and again, Goku doesn't change that much. He's not a compelling hero, but you get so much from Piccolo, Gohan, Vegeta, even Trunks. You get a lot of stuff from, so I'd say definitely check it out. But if you're into saving time, Dragon Ball Z Kai, I believe, is just as good, and it's shorter, and it's also a better quality. So if you can, see that, and then watch the Buu Saga separately. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.